Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany and welcome to Tiffany Trends. This is Real Ass Women Season 2, Episode 2, Dose for the Girls, and it's titled Perfectly Me. Thank you guys for tuning in, staying up on your Real Ass Women episodes. I hope you guys enjoy. Check it out. So guys, first I want to shout out one of my friends for helping me title this episode. Tiana, thank you so much. I had a little bit of issue titling this episode, and the reason why was because I wanted to make sure that it stood out. I wanted to make sure that you guys didn't take the title the wrong way, and that you guys really had a good understanding of what I was trying to say. I hope that the title definitely conveyed that for you guys, because this episode is truly important to that self-love, self-care, and self-healing journey. So I definitely hope that that stood out to you and brought you here today. And if it did, thank you, Tiana, and thank you guys for tuning in and clicking on it. I truly appreciate it. So Perfectly Me, today we're going to be discussing the downfalls of trying to be perfect and how it affects our lives, and truly learning what being perfectly you is, because we have this standard of perfection that we will never reach. I saw this quote really recently that said, practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes progression. And those things are very true. We're never going to be perfect. We should stop aiming for perfection, because that is non-existent, right? And the more we hold ourselves to this perfect world, to this perfect stereotype, the more we're going to let ourselves down, because that day never comes. And that's okay. We're designed to be perfectly ourselves, be true to ourselves, be true to who we were created to become, outside of the norms of what people expect from us. So let's start here. Perfection is self-destruction. Well, perfection is self-destructive. And what I mean by that, and I can tell you guys from my personal standpoint, I have tried to be perfect on many occasions. I've tried to be the perfect employee. I've tried to be the perfect child. I've tried to be the perfect adult. I've tried to be the perfect mate in a relationship, and the perfect friend. And I have let every single one of those people down. And the reason why is because I'm trying to create a persona of myself that doesn't exist. Is not natural. That's not how I always am. I'm not always having a great day. I'm not always the best version of myself. I have bad days, and I am human, and I'm allowed to have those days. But to hold myself to the standard of somebody else's happiness, of somebody else's approval, I'm going to constantly let them down, because I'm not them. And for you guys, you have to do the same thing. The two biggest times I can think, guys, that I felt overwhelmed by letting people down. Number one, I think, was in school. And I know a lot of you probably struggle with this, especially if you're millennials, just graduated college, you're in college or about to go to college. It's like this battle to meet your 4-year mark. And what I mean by that is, when you start college is designed for a 4-year success rate, that you're supposed to be able to accomplish all of your credits, accomplish all of your courses, and get out there on the time. So I started in 2013. My expected graduation date was 2017. I did graduate in 2017, but it's from personal pressure. And what I mean is that I had the preconceived notion that my family felt like I should have been out by 2017. You know, people had started asking about my graduation by 2016, 2015. And even my friends, I know we all had the same pressure, because we had conversations about it, like, we're going to cross that stage May 2017. And when you really think about it, it's really not that deep. And I know that sounds crazy, and some people are probably looking at me sideways, but I'm saying that for you, graduating in 4 years is not worth your mental health. You graduating in 4 years is not worth you not learning the material to evolve in your career field. Because I'm going to tell you guys personally, when I pushed through for those 4 years, I didn't retain any content that could help me in the fields that I studied. I retained content to put it out on the test so I could get an A, so I could graduate. It had nothing to do with me truly learning. And college is supposed to be a learning experience. It teaches us how to, function on our own, how to be away from home, how to do it as an individual. Guys, I learned how to graduate in 4 years. That's it. You asked me something I learned in class, I probably got out of all the things I learned over my college career, I can tell you I probably actually learned 10% of what I was taught. And the reason why is because we're so gun-ho on like reaching this time frame. And if you're a parent and you know your kid is going in college, I definitely recommend letting them know that the experience is the important part. You know, do a good job in school, but take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, and focus on those things too, because it's so overwhelming to be looking at this deadline and this like perfect date of when you're supposed to walk out of school, because that's when you walked into school. And the ultimate goal, guys, is to learn the content, is to be able to apply it to your life. So if you are a 5-year senior, congratulations. 6-year senior, congratulations. 7, 10, 12, whatever. At the end of the day, the accomplishment is learning the material, is using it in your life, and making sure that it helped you blossom and gain knowledge in ways that you need for your life now. But don't pressure yourself with the perfection of this 4-year success rate. Like, think about it, guys. Like, some of you guys have been in relationships for 4 years and it's not perfect yet. Some of you guys have been at a career for 4 years and it's not perfect yet. And we have to treat school the same. We can't hold these. And at that age, you're babies. Like, we're so young when we're in college. We're making such big life decisions at such a young age. And you got to realize that's a lot of pressure on top of you finally being on your own for the first time. So again, if you know somebody in school, if you know somebody that's starting college, that's a 5th-year senior, or that just began, like, definitely be supportive of them, guys. Let them know that the overall goal is to succeed, but not on a certain timeline. Just support them in that, because I put pressure on myself that my family actually wasn't putting on me. Like, this was all mental. This was all the accomplishments that I wanted to achieve for myself. But at the same time, I felt like I had to do it too. And I just wish I took that time to explore and learn what I wanted and learn what I love. And I didn't truly do that. So if you're in the field where you can make that correction now, guys, definitely take that time. College is a lot of money, so I also understand the rush with that. But at the same time, if you're there and you didn't learn nothing and you spent all that money, that's a waste of money too. So definitely take the time, guys. It's no perfect way to do this. Focus on doing what's best for you. The second big life lesson that I learned, perfection ain't it for me, sis, is me being engaged. I know we had this conversation a lot on this platform. I think a big part of that sparked me into having this conversation. I always tell you guys, I've always wanted to motivate women. I have a journal from when I was a freshman in college. No guys involved. That truly made me want to start this channel. Actually, this platform in general, but this channel was a part of that plan. But guys, my engagement was a big part of perfection. And looking back at it now, I can see that. I felt like when you're in a relationship for a certain amount of time, you're supposed to get engaged after a certain amount of time. And I think me and that person also had that same type of pressure. But it wasn't that part that made me feel like I had to be perfect, guys. So all that aside, when I was calling the wedding off, I felt so anxious and so embarrassed and so overwhelmed and so uncomfortable. I have a huge support system, guys. I've had a huge support system. God has blessed me with that from a very, very, very young age. But I felt like everybody was rooting for me, around me, for that marriage and for me to get married. And I'm realizing as I get older, the reason why they were rooting for it was because they didn't know everything I was dealing with, child. You know what I mean? And when you're not open with people and they're getting half of a story when you present something to them, they don't have a full understanding. So because I had been so secretive about my experience, and because I didn't tell everybody all the sad days, but I shared the good days, they had a very false understanding of what my relationship truly looked like. So when I had to tell everybody that I was calling off my wedding and my engagement and future marriage, I felt like I was breaking this perfect picture of I was doing everything the right way. I went to school, I did this, I met somebody, I was getting married, and I felt like I was on the track that seemed perfect to people that were probably watching it from a distance. But up close, it was not perfect. And those are the two things I think that really stands out to like me breaking the normal, what perfection looks like. Of course, I finished school in 4 years, so that's not really breaking it, but I know better now. And as for that, I definitely called that wedding off. I definitely had a lot of questions from a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I would rather answer questions than be sad or unhappy or something that doesn't serve me well. So Perfection is definitely self-destructive. Don't recommend it for nobody. The goal is to be the perfect version of yourself. And being the perfect version of yourself means letting go of societal norms, letting go of what you feel like the world needs you to do, what the world needs you to be, and how the world needs you to present yourself. And be true to what you feel. I know there's so many times, because I know personally, where everybody does something a certain way, and I don't want to do it that way. Like, I don't like it, but I do it because I feel like that's how we're supposed to do things. And I'm getting to this point in life where I'm like, I don't care. And I know other people probably have those same moments, but it's hard to do it because you don't know what the reaction is, because you never lived in your truth or lived as your truest version of yourself. And I'm getting to the point in life where I'm not caring what people think anymore. And it's not necessarily like no given, but it's like, I want to make myself happy. I want to cheer myself on. And that calls for being perfectly me, stepping out of the comforts of everybody else, stepping out of the norms of everybody else. Everybody has lived their lives. Y'all got y'all lives, y'all do y'all thing. This is mine. With the best of my knowledge, I get one. So I'm gonna live it up, and I'm gonna do it for me. And so that calls kind of for the things that we were taught, unlearning things that no longer serve you at your age, unlearning things that no longer serve you in a relationship, unlearning things that no longer serve you in your career, and unlearning things that no longer serves you in your educational journey. Those things are important. Those things are mandatory if you want to unlock the best version of yourself. Guys, it's really, really true. And honestly, being real with y'all 1,000%, letting people down will be one of your biggest triumphs. When I started truly being myself, when I called it the wedding, it really triggered the best version of myself. And not saying in a negative or a petty way at all, but I mean in a way of, because I had so much support around me, because I was so scared of doing something that I felt like was perfect, and I went and followed something that felt like was real and authentic to how I truly felt at that point in time. I think that seeing that support system, I ran with it. So I just started doing things that I love. I started doing things that were uncomfortable. I started doing things that represented the person that I always wanted to be, because I knew that I had a team behind my back. Everybody doesn't have that. And along with that, the same way I had a whole bunch of people rooting for me, I had a whole bunch of people that were completely on the other side of that. I had a whole bunch of people that stopped communicating with me as much and things of that nature. So you kind of have to deal with the ups and downs of what being your true self looks like. But at the same time, who is truly there for you will always show up. Pay attention to the people that root for you. Pay attention to the people that don't clap when it's the time for you to succeed or the time of your success, and then really build on what that means and where those people stand in your life. But letting people down will be one of your biggest triumphs, because you'll realize you're no longer conforming to what they need, conforming to their happiness, but you're conforming to what serves you. You're leaning into what brings you happiness and joy. And sometimes that's upsetting for people that want you to follow what makes them happy. And if you gotta choose you or them, always choose you. Because there's one thing we know in this life, and that's you will always end up with you. There's no way for you to leave your side. Everybody else has the possibility of walking out of your life but you. So you have to take care of that woman in the mirror and show her the utmost respect and give her the best life that you possibly can, guys. So definitely don't forget that, because that's the key, sis. Also, I learned within that same thing that it's okay to be different. Being different won't be liked by all. Being different won't be accepted by all. Somebody's gonna talk about you. People are gonna talk about you. But let me tell you something. If you were doing everything right, people will still talk about you. Or quote unquote, if you're doing everything by the book, people are still gonna talk about you. There's no way around that. So just go ahead and be who you need to be, because they're gonna talk about you regardless, sis. You know what I mean? So be authentic to the best version of yourself, because that's who's gonna have your back at the end of the day. And it's okay to be different. There's no downside to it. It really isn't. You go to bed without any regrets. You wake up without any regrets. And it's because you lived in your most authentic and true self. And that's a blessing to have the opportunity to do. It's a blessing to interrupt this pattern of what people expected and fall into the pattern of what you know you need. I know sometimes, like, compared to how I used to be to how I am, I know a lot of people might say sometimes, like, dang, she's mean, or dang, like, usually if I ask Tiffany to come out with me today, she'll go out with me, but Tiffany told me no. Or usually if I ask Tiffany to, like, do this, Tiffany would say yes, but I sometimes need my me time. Okay? And it's no downside to anybody else. It's no hate. It's no loss of love. At the end of the day, it's that I realize I can't pour into nothing when I'm half empty. So I got to refill this glasses so I can be the best version of myself, so I can assist you in being the best version of yours, and so on and so on. I'm not a yes man no more. I used to definitely be a people pleaser times 10. She clocked out. She ain't never clocking back in. She quit that job on a Thursday afternoon. She's not coming back, okay? No 2 weeks notice. I was out there. I learned that pleasing people and pleasing myself were on the other side of the field. I couldn't do both at the same time, so I gave up the one that no longer served me. I'm still there for all those people. I still love all those people. But some people you gotta learn from a distance, because you gotta know a giver is a giver, a taker is a taker. A taker has no limits, so a giver needs to have some, because that's the only way you're gonna find balances. And that might be an episode for another day, but just a little preview for me. And last but not least, guys, with building the perfect version of yourself, you have to flourish in your self-acceptance. What that means, guys, is those days when you feel different, be confident in it. Those days where everybody might not agree with your way of your train of thought, or the way that you go about things, or the way that you process things, or your representation, or the choices that you made in the past. Like, it's okay. Those are your choices. You are the only person in the room that has to live with them, nobody else. So you don't have to answer to nobody else about those choices. You don't have to answer to nobody else about those decisions, because those are decisions that best serve you in your life. And those are decisions you thought through for your benefit. Nobody knows your quiet nights. Nobody knows your moments alone. Nobody knows what that looks like. And you're the only person that witnesses every situation, or every word, or every tear in your life. So don't let people that aren't there for every second tell you how to run it, okay? Do what's best for you. Focus on you. Flourish in self. Flourish in love. And at the end of the day, you have to take care of the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, and make sure that you're giving them their best life. I was very uncomfortable with getting on the camera the first time, because I knew it was always something I wanted to do, not necessarily go on YouTube, but I've always had conversations with my friends when they were going through all hard times. I've always had conversations with, family members, or sisters, or roommates, yada yada, or coworkers. Like, I've always had conversations about life and where we are, and I've always been a great listening ear, and I've always had advice for them. And I have been blessed with that same, God truly gave me reciprocity in that field, because people have filled me up the same way I've had the opportunity of filling them up. And nobody could assist me until I showed them my truth. I spent a lot of time smiling, putting on this perfect smile that I was happy and that everything was okay. And there was 1,000 days when it wasn't. There was 1,000 days where everything was a complete mess. I was in complete chaos. But it was when I started being authentic to myself, I started having true friendships. I started having conversations that nourished me. I started gaining friendships that was beyond the norm of what I usually had. And I started having relationships and sisterhoods that were noteworthy and monumental, and something that truly built me up and made me better, and made me realize I should have been doing this the whole time, So guys, listen, you're not the only one going through the things you're going through. You're not the only one fighting to be the best version of yourself. And it's a daily commitment to flourish in self-love. It's a daily commitment to focus on your self-healing. It's a daily commitment to practice self-care. And happiness is a daily choice, guys. So we got this one life to the best of our knowledge, and we gotta live it full force, arms wide open, ready to give it our all. And since we get this one life, since we want the best version of that, we have to be authentically ourselves. The more that we put that out there, the more that we can receive. I thank you guys for tuning in to Real Ass Women Season 2, Episode 2. We're on this, guys. We are in 2022. It's going to be a great year. I love you guys so much. Again, Facebook channel is coming very soon. So I hope you guys like and subscribe to that. When we get that on running, it will be in the description box below once we get it all put together. But I thank you guys for tuning in. I love you guys so much. You guys are perfect the way you are. You are perfect in the woman you are becoming, and you are perfect in the woman you will be. I love you guys. Sign on off. Good night. Bye.